voicing artists' original characters. Thank you very much for being here with me today. The character we are working with today comes from a comic that is being written. It's already out for release, so you can go and read it. You can go and immerse yourself. The artist's name for this character that we're working with is Bev Johnson. Beverly Love on social media platforms. The character's name is Ro Cambria. So we have some details on this sort of like character sheet that was given to us by Bev. So age 28, birthday June 1st, height 5'9", job, punk band, vocalist, and guitarist, hot as fuck. Likes are driving, caffeine, mixed drinks, old people, femmes, concept albums, sci-fi, and RPGs. Let's fucking go. Dislikes, cleaning, bras, social media, superhero movies, losing track of things, black coffee. She has a pet rabbit named Hades, and her special skill is trivia or fun facts. Her weaknesses are food allergies and a short temper. The artist, Bev, gave me some drawings from her comic in order for us to reference. So we saw the character sheet, which is like a separate thing, but now we'll see some drawings from the comic itself. So some comic panels. So this one is just finish your food, I'll drive. So this is like intimidating, where they're like hand against the wall, and it says it's rude to get up in people's faces like that. This one is them like pulling up the side of their shirt, and it says, where I slipped on that rock and bashed my side open and you had to drive me to the emergency room. Nobody comes out here. And then the last strip that we have is going to be useful for when we do emotional dialogue. We have this piece. At the top says okay, and it's her sort of opening a car door. I think it's a passenger door. And then it says, see you in another 6 years, I guess, with a little peace symbol. So let me give you some of my notes for Ro based on these drawings. So I have composed cool, in quotes, right? Aloof, collected. And the reason why I have given these 4 in the beginning is because in order to have a short temper, you have to start in a either neutral, where you're just like, I'm a person, now I'm angry, or in her case, what I'm feeling from her, in an even lower, calmer state. Because if your natural state is low and calm, then it's more significant and perhaps either more easy or less easy to push you into this sudden burst of emotion. And in her case, I do think it's easier. So when she has this short temper, she can become very imposing or intimidating. That's what we get from our drawing where she's leaning on the wall. We also have a little bit of enticing or alluring. Now, I don't mean that in the sense that she is specifically trying to come across as flirty or as alluring or as temptatious to other people. She has this air about her where she has confidence in herself and a lack of stress that makes it so other people see the things she does and the way she holds herself as like, wow, this is really attractive. It is attractive to be confident in yourself and not looking to get other people interested in you and not looking for attention. That is really attractive when you can handle yourself by yourself. So that's why I think maybe she's a little enticing in moments that she doesn't mean to be, like the image where she's lifting up her shirt for the scar. It's a damn, that confidence is hot kind of way. That's what I wrote in my notes. I would also choose the words ruffian or rebellious. She does dangerous or exciting things without concern of what the consequences may be. Now, it doesn't mean that she is doing negative things. It doesn't mean that she's trying to be dangerous in a way that is maybe reckless or purposefully antagonistic. It just means that if something seems exciting or if an opportunity arises itself, she's not going to necessarily think about all the minute little possible things that could go wrong. She's just gonna go, that sounds like fun, sounds like a cool idea, I'm fucking doing it, and not give it a second thought. I think she's a bit of a softie. She's got a kind and a good heart. I think it's in there, even if you don't notice it right away. So this pose is already very like aloof, right? She's got a hand in her pocket, not really caring. She's got one foot that's kind of like up on her toe, like she's just kind of standing here waiting. All of her body language is very like, I'm not trying to be the center of attention. I'm not trying to take up space. I'm just kind of here. And there's no tension in her body either. She's just chilling. Now in her face, if I zoom in here a little bit, in her face, she does have a little bit of contemplation or maybe disgust or something on her face that is not a chill energy. But I think it's also interesting to keep in mind that just because she is facially reacting to this doesn't mean her whole body is reacting as well. So when we do our emotions, maybe we want to keep a little bit of the only thing that is feeling this emotion to such a high intensity is like brain and face and the feeling side of her, not necessarily like the outward side of her. It's a very inner emotion for her. We might find that to be the case with little hints on these drawings here. With all of that noted, it is time to do our improv dialogue for our emotions. So our first one, of course, is happy. I genuinely want to reference this piece where she's talking about how she like bashed her side open and went to the emergency room, because this feels very true to Ro. All of Ro's energy, where she's so chill and she's so collected that things that maybe were dangerous or possibly upsetting to other people aren't that way to her. She's very much like, what do you mean? Like, I had a fun time and nobody's dead, so I might actually do something that we don't usually get to do with characters. I'm going to use the dialogue that is in this comic strip just to get us into that happy mode. And then, because I don't know how the rest of the scene plays out, I'm just going to continue the conversation as Ro and make up some dialogue for my own. But we're going to lead in with the one we see from this comic strip. Let me tell you what I'm thinking for her voice. I'm thinking we go a little bit lower, we go a little bit more of a growl, and we go sort of like a slower paced, but collectively energetic, which I don't think that makes any sense, because if you're collected and calm and cool and composed, you're not necessarily what we think of as energetic, where you're like bump it up and up and up and up. But she has such a power about her in her calmness that I'm going to see if I can sort of mash the two together and get her almost to a state where you're like, you feel like she has energy for somebody who's like sitting there and, you know, munching on chips and very not caring. We'll see if we're able to do it. So let's give it a shot. Where I slipped on that rock and bashed my side open and you had to drive me to the emergency room. I mean, come on. Sure, it wasn't exactly what we had planned for a first date, but it was memorable. You can't deny that. Oh, come on, girly. I'm just joking. Kind of. Oh, that's cute. Wait, I like that. I did not expect that to be the voice. I was trying to go a little lower, and I was gonna do growl, but it ended up being more of like a throat tension, which I actually kind of do like, because it keeps her a bit more in that androgynous space than my lower tone would have given her, because my lower tone sounds very feminine. So I kind of like her in this androgynous space. I like her with the tension in her throat to where her laughter almost sounds like there's a lot of air being pushed versus maybe a normal laugh that is a bit smoother. And I love this atmosphere of like, she's like got this big smile on her face and trying to giggle a bit. And to her girlfriend, and her girlfriend's like, stop, that was like the worst day ever. I was so embarrassed, right? And Ro is just like, yo, are you kidding me? I loved it. Like, she's poking a little fun at her. from happy, we are going to move on to angry. I want to use this sort of more intimidating one. Again, we're going to go off the dialogue, which is super cool because we don't often get to do that. So I'm going to use this dialogue here, and I want to see if when I continue this conversation that it may or may not come off more as a facade, as a very purposeful attempt at outward intimidation, or if it's actually going to be anger where she is upset with something that this other character said. So let's find out. It's rude to get up in people's faces like that. How would you like it if I did it to you? Yeah, that's what I thought. I would suggest the next time you feel like being mean to one of my friends, you think twice, because I don't mind getting up in people's faces. I like it, but it's not quite what I want. So I want to try this again. And I might throw in that piece of dialogue at some point, but I want to try this from a different standpoint. So I'm going to take the idea, same that I was doing before with this comic strip, where someone has insulted one of her friends or maybe her girlfriend, and she's sort of like standing up to them. But I don't necessarily want it to be like insulty. I think it was more of like an actual threat. And she, even though you wouldn't expect it, is actually like the guard dog, the protector. So let's try it in that energy. Hey, it's rude to get up in people's faces like that. I suggest you walk away. Well, what's it gonna be? I wouldn't underestimate me if I were you. You come back here again, and we're gonna have problems. You got me? Good. Now get the fuck out of here. Ooh, that felt a lot more genuine. I like that for Ro, because it came from a place of 2 more steps from the individual that Ro was talking to towards one of Ro's friends, and that individual would have like actually had their hands on them starting a fight. And so when that was what I went into the scene thinking, it was a lot stronger of a place of intimidation and anger. And I think that suits better for Ro, because she is so calm and cool and collected and kind of chill, I don't think she would need to put on this facade of scary or powerful or intimidation. I think that she might not even think about doing something like that. I think she would just act, especially with a short temper. If something like that is going to happen, she immediately is like, hey, like we did, right? Where she walks up and she's like, no. This isn't playing games. This is me genuinely saying stop. So I don't think she would put on the intimidation factor that we were giving her the first time. And I think with the second time, we lost the mask and just went straight, genuine stop. And I like that. I think that works well for her. I kind of want to do this one with the face palm. And I don't know that it's going to be assigned to any of our emotions in particular, but I think this is a really funny comic panel, and I want to see maybe what emotions we discover while doing these lines. I'm going to take the initiative and give it a scene, even though I don't know what scene it's from. I might have an idea. Ugh, are you serious? Oh my god, fine. Just finish your food. I'll drive. No, shut up. Shut up, okay? I don't want to hear it. This is the 5th time you've called me to bail you out this month. When are you gonna start taking some responsibility for yourself? For your life? I am not your mother. I can't be the one you call every time your life goes to shit. Figure something out and get in the car. Ooh, yeah. that was much stronger of a place. I like that. What's fun about this is we're really discovering where her emotions lie. Because when you're dealing with characters who are naturally a bit calmer, a bit more collected, it can be hard to genuinely step into their shoes and feel more grounded in their feelings when you're doing dialogue of any kind. And the reason is because oftentimes people who are a little bit calmer don't put their emotions on display as much. And we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, where her face was the only thing showing that emotion in that character sheet. The rest of her body was still the normal posture. Characters like this don't show us outwardly their emotions very often. And so when we're trying to find these ones and poking at prodding and where do I get to anger? How do I get to upsetness? How do I get to frustration and exhaustion? I think the piece we did just had a lot of exhaustion in it. How do we get there? We often have to try a couple times, as we've done this episode, where we start with an idea and a concept, but the passion that is supposed to be there, the strength, the power that comes from any emotion when we're doing dialogue and getting in a character isn't resonating when we're starting these ones. And it's because we're like, well, where is the point where she starts to feel? When do those emotions get to actually be felt by her and the people around her? Because she probably blocks a lot of them out and keeps them away and hides them back, not just from everyone else, but from herself too. So when we actually get to find these points for anger, for happiness, now going into sadness, it's really genuinely cool because we have to dig, just like her girlfriend, just like her friends, just like her family and people who care about her probably have to dig. It was bottle it and shake it like Coke with a Mentos. And we, in all arguments, didn't even open the bottle. It's just the shaking and the fizzing and the tension and the pain that's in the bottle before it cracks. That's where her anger is. Which is really weird, because oftentimes when we do emotions and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of feelings, the crack, the opening of the bottle is where you draw from, because those are usually the purest and the genuine. But for Ro is a breaking point. It would no longer be words. It would no longer be something that she could articulate. It might be a panic attack. It might be sobbing. It might physically be punching something or screaming into a pillow. I think when she gets to that pure soul point of an emotion, that she doesn't have dialogue anymore. That's what it's feeling like. Because when we've reached the pure soul point for her version of it, right? While we've been doing anger, it's right before that break. Whereas in a lot of characters, it is the break. And maybe that's a little bit of her covering things up to herself and to other people. Maybe that's a little bit of she's not quite in touch with those true feelings. And so this is the right place to pull from for Ro. We're gonna go into our last emotion, which is sadness. And we're gonna use the comic strip where she's opening the car door and leaving with the peace sign. Now, this to me feels very much like she is once again trying to bypass and throw away and not feel those really deep center points all the way at the bottom of the emotion. So it's going to be a little bit of sadness and anger all mixed together, but in the genuine space, she's hurt, she's upset. So that's what we're going to take it for this one. Let's give it a shot. If that's how you really feel, then who am I to tell you otherwise? I guess I should have listened to them when they told me it was too good to be true. I thought maybe you were different. See you in another 6 years, I guess. So definitely like last time, we're gonna need to do it again. And I think this time around, we were at a place where we were blocking the emotion same way Ro was. We were forcing the anger and the antagonistic part forward rather than trying to reach into that, like, I want to go home and cry, or I'm walking away and you can't see that I'm crying while I'm walking away. I think we need to pull from that a little more strongly. Maybe it's taken a long time for you to be able to pour that heart out, for you to feel like you can trust this person, and every time you've ever done that in the past, they have shut you down and rejected you, just like this person is doing now. That's sort of the energy I want to take for this. Let's try it again. What? But I... You're joking. Please tell me that you're joking. Why did I think this would be different? Why did I think this would be different? Fine. Yep. Nope. No, it's... Huh? Yeah, I've heard it all before. Yeah. And I should have seen it coming, I suppose. That's on me. That's on me for giving you my heart and hoping you wouldn't drop it or hand it right back. Okay, see you in another 6 years, I guess. There it is. Yep. That's what we needed to do. Was we needed to take it more from sadness and less of a facade, because what happened this time around was we were able to fully pull, especially for the actual line of dialogue that's written here, we almost reverted back to her calmness, which again is what we want for her, because for calm, collected characters, it can be really hard to get into these emotions and to feel like we're in the right place because of how calm they are and how chill they are, even in their emotions. And so it's been happening. It happened with anger, where it's not as punchy and forceful. And now it's happened in sadness, where the true place of her sadness, the second version we did of this, is not a yelling, sobbing, crying. It's in these moments very accepting of what has just gone down. Love that we were able to find that point in all of these emotions, even if we had to work at it. And to be honest, working at it is fun. I love playing with characters where it's not just an immediate, oh, I know where we're at, I got it, let's go. You really have to go, this character is detailed, this character is nuanced, and I need to find them naturally as a human being. Huge credit to Bev Johnson for being able to create a character, especially from the little bits and pieces that we have from these comic strips and these drawings, where it feels so human that we have to reach into our humanity and our realism, which we don't always get to do with voicing characters. We had to reach into human realism in order to really pull where Ro was coming from. All right, my friends. This was so much fun to get to work with Ro, to get to work with characters from Bev Johnson. Make sure you go follow her. Links will be in the description below. A reminder, you can always join us live on Mondays at 9 p.m. EST while we work with new characters. That's all for today. Goodbye.